Why does your coworker seem to predict office drama weeks before it happens? Or know exactly when the boss is in a bad mood just by looking at them? There's someone at your workplace who operates like they have a secret manual everyone else missed. They're productive in the weirdest ways, solve problems nobody else even saw coming, and somehow become the person everyone confides in. If this sounds familiar, you've probably met an INFJ. What's up, everyone? Today we're uncovering the workplace secrets of the rarest personality type on Earth. INFJs make up just 1% of the population, but they're doing things at work that'll absolutely blow your mind. I'm talking about behaviors so unusual that once you know what to look for, you'll spot them everywhere. These aren't your typical introverted and intuitive traits. No, we're diving into the really weird stuff that all INFJs do at work. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's jump in. The INFJ workplace phenomenon. Before we jump into our list, let's set the stage. INFJs are known as the advocates or the counselors in the Myers-Briggs world. They're introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging types. But what does that actually mean when they clock in every morning? Well, it means they're operating on a completely different wavelength than most of their coworkers. They're processing information differently, making decisions differently, and yes, they're doing some pretty unusual things that most people would never even think of. The crazy part? These behaviors are so consistent across INFJs that once you know what to look for, you can spot them from a mile away. It's like they're all following the same secret playbook that nobody else got a copy of. 1. They create elaborate mental maps of office politics. Here's something that'll make you do a double take. INFJs don't just work at their jobs. They're constantly creating these incredibly detailed mental maps of every single relationship, power dynamic, and unspoken rule in their workplace. I'm talking about next-level stuff here. While most people are focused on their own tasks and maybe keeping track of who's dating who, INFJs are over there building entire psychological profiles of everyone they work with. They know that Sarah from accounting gets stressed when people email her after 4 p.m. They figured out that the boss makes better decisions on Tuesdays because that's when he has his weekly call with his mentor. They can tell you which meetings are actually important and which ones are just for show. But here's where it gets really weird. They're not doing this consciously most of the time. It's like their brains are constantly running this background program that's analyzing every interaction, every facial expression, every change in tone. One INFJ I know told me she can predict with scary accuracy when someone's about to quit, get promoted, or have a meltdown, sometimes weeks before it happens. She's not psychic. She's just picking up on patterns and signals that everyone else is missing. This mental mapping isn't just about gossip or being nosy. INFJs use this information to navigate their workplace more effectively. They know exactly who to approach for different types of help, when to bring up sensitive topics, and how to avoid getting caught in the middle of conflicts. The downside? Sometimes this feels overwhelming. Imagine carrying around detailed psychological profiles of 30 coworkers in your head all the time. It's like being a human resources department of one, except nobody asked you to do the job and you don't get paid extra for it. 2. They have secret productivity rituals that look like procrastination. This one's going to sound absolutely crazy, but stick with me. INFJs have these productivity methods that look completely backwards to anyone watching from the outside. While their coworkers are grinding away at their desks from 9 to 5, INFJs are doing things like taking long walks in the middle of the day, staring out windows for what seems like forever, or spending 20 minutes rearranging their workspace before they can start a project. To everyone else, this looks like the ultimate procrastination. But here's the secret. INFJs are actually working during these non-working moments. Their brains are processing information, making connections, and solving problems in ways that aren't visible to the outside world. I know an INFJ who swears by what she calls her thinking showers. Whenever she's stuck on a complex problem at work, she'll find an excuse to go to the bathroom and just stand there for 5 minutes, letting her mind wander. 9 times out of 10, she comes back with the solution. Another INFJ told me he does his best strategic thinking while doing mundane tasks like filing or organizing his desk. His coworkers think he's obsessed with cleanliness, but really, he's using those repetitive activities to free up mental space for bigger picture thinking. The really unusual part is how they work in bursts. While most people try to maintain steady productivity throughout the day, INFJs often have these intense periods where they'll knock out massive amounts of work, followed by what looks like downtime but is actually recharge time. They might spend 2 hours appearing to do very little, then suddenly produce a brilliant presentation, solve a problem that's been stumping everyone for weeks, or come up with an innovative approach that nobody else thought of. This pattern drives their more traditional coworkers absolutely nuts. They see the unproductive periods but miss the incredible output that comes from this style of working. It's like watching someone prepare for a marathon by taking naps. It doesn't make sense until you see them cross the finish line first. 3. They become unofficial workplace therapists, whether they want to or not. Here's something that happens to virtually every INFJ in every workplace, and it's both a blessing and a curse. Without trying, without advertising, and often without wanting to, they become the person everyone comes to with their problems. It starts innocently enough. Maybe someone mentions they're having a tough day, and the INFJ responds with genuine empathy and insight. Maybe they offer a different perspective on a workplace conflict, or they just listen really well when someone needs to vent. But before they know it, there's a line of coworkers outside their office or cubicle, all wanting to talk through their issues. The INFJ becomes the unofficial workplace therapist, career counselor, and relationship advisor all rolled into one. The crazy part is how good they are at this role. INFJs have this natural ability to see multiple perspectives, understand underlying motivations, and help people work through complex emotional situations. They can take a messy interpersonal conflict and help people find solutions that actually work. I've seen INFJs help coworkers navigate everything from difficult bosses to career changes to personal relationships. They're like human Switzerland, neutral, safe, and somehow able to help opposing sides find common ground. But here's where it gets really unusual. They often end up knowing more about what's going on in their workplace than anyone else, including management. People tell them things they wouldn't tell their best friends, let alone their supervisors. This puts INFJs in a weird position. They become repositories of workplace secrets, concerns, and conflicts. They know who's unhappy, who's looking for new jobs, who's having personal problems that are affecting their work, and who's frustrated with company policies. The challenge is that this role can be absolutely exhausting. INFJs feel things deeply, and when they're constantly absorbing other people's stress and problems, it takes a toll. Many INFJs report feeling drained by the end of the workday, not because of their actual job responsibilities, but because of all the emotional labor they've taken on. Some try to set boundaries, but it's tough. When someone comes to you with a genuine problem and you have the ability to help, it feels wrong to turn them away. So most INFJs end up accepting this unofficial role, even when it becomes overwhelming. 4. They spot future problems that don't exist yet. This one sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but it's absolutely real. INFJs have this uncanny ability to identify problems, conflicts, and issues before they actually happen. I'm not talking about being pessimistic or looking for trouble. I'm talking about genuine pattern recognition that allows them to see how current situations are likely to unfold in ways that most people miss. For example, an INFJ might notice that a new company policy sounds good on paper but will create specific problems when it interacts with existing workflows. While everyone else is focused on the immediate benefits, the INFJ is thinking 3 steps ahead to the unintended consequences. Or they might observe subtle changes in team dynamics and predict that certain personality conflicts are brewing, even when everyone seems to be getting along fine on the surface. The really unusual part is how specific these predictions can be. One INFJ I know accurately predicted that her company's new software system would create a bottleneck in customer service, not because of technical issues, but because of how it would change the workflow for staff who weren't comfortable with technology. She saw this months before implementation, while everyone else was excited about the upgrade. Another INFJ foresaw that a popular manager's promotion would actually hurt team morale, not because people didn't want him to succeed, but because his replacement wasn't ready for the role and the transition timing was poor. Here's the frustrating part for INFJs. When they try to raise these concerns, they often sound like they're being negative or resistant to change. It's hard to explain intuitive insights in ways that satisfy people who want concrete data and logical reasoning. Many INFJs have learned to document their concerns carefully and present them as risk assessments or contingency planning rather than predictions. They've figured out how to translate their intuitive insights into language that more analytical colleagues can understand and take seriously. But sometimes they just have to watch problems unfold exactly as they expected, knowing they saw it coming but couldn't convince anyone else to take preventive action. 5. They create detailed contingency plans for social interactions. This one's going to sound absolutely wild, but INFJs often prepare for workplace social interactions the way most people prepare for job interviews or presentations. I'm talking about mentally rehearsing conversations, planning responses to different scenarios, and even scripting small talk. While their extroverted colleagues are comfortable winging it, INFJs are running through social flowcharts in their heads. Before a team meeting, an INFJ might think through not just their own contributions, but how different people are likely to respond, what conflicts might arise, and how they can help keep the discussion productive. They're essentially doing social project management in their minds. One INFJ described it to me like this: I have backup plans for my backup plans when it comes to social situations at work. If the conversation goes in direction A, I'm prepared. If it goes in direction B, I've got that covered too. And if it completely derails, I've already thought through how to redirect it. This extends to everything from casual conversations by the coffee machine to major presentations. INFJs will often practice different ways to phrase requests, anticipate objections, and plan responses to questions they might be asked. The really unusual part is how they prepare for emotional scenarios. If they need to have a difficult conversation with a coworker, they don't just think about what to say, they think about how the other person might feel, what their emotional state is likely to be, and how to approach the situation with maximum empathy and minimum conflict. They might even prepare different versions of the same conversation based on the other person's mood, stress level, or what else is going on in their life. To more spontaneous colleagues, this level of preparation might seem excessive or inauthentic. But for INFJs, it's how they manage their social energy efficiently and make sure they can be their best selves in interactions that matter. It's not about being fake or manipulative, it's about being prepared to handle complex social dynamics in ways that work for everyone involved. 6. They maintain multiple work personalities and switch between them strategically. Here's the most unusual thing of all, and it might explain everything else we've talked about. INFJs often develop multiple work personalities and consciously switch between them depending on the situation, the people they're interacting with, and what they're trying to accomplish. This isn't about being two-faced or dishonest. It's about recognizing that different situations call for different aspects of their personality to be highlighted, and they're incredibly strategic about this. For example, an INFJ might have their problem-solving mode that they use when helping coworkers work through issues. In this mode, they're empathetic, patient, and focused on understanding all perspectives. They might also have their presentation mode for when they need to communicate ideas to groups. This version might be more structured, confident, and directive than their usual style. There could be a crisis mode that emerges during high-stress situations, where they become incredibly calm, organized, and focused on solutions rather than emotions. And then there's their recharge mode, the more authentic, introverted version that they retreat to when they need to process information and restore their energy. The really unusual part is how conscious this process is. While most people's personalities naturally shift somewhat based on context, INFJs are often very aware of which version of themselves they're presenting and why. One INFJ told me she thinks of it like having different tools for different jobs. I wouldn't use a hammer when I need a screwdriver, she said. And I wouldn't use my empathetic counselor personality when I need to make a tough business decision. This adaptability makes INFJs incredibly effective in diverse workplace situations. They can be the compassionate listener when someone needs support, the strategic thinker when planning is required, and the decisive leader when quick action is necessary. But it can also be exhausting. Constantly managing which version of yourself to present takes mental energy, and sometimes INFJs worry about losing touch with their real self in the process. Many INFJs report feeling like chameleons at work, able to blend into any situation but sometimes unsure which colors are authentically theirs. The hidden costs of being an INFJ at work. Now, all of these unusual behaviors come with hidden costs that most people don't see. Being an INFJ at work isn't just about having quirky habits. It's about managing a complex internal world while navigating external demands that often don't match their natural way of operating. The mental mapping, emotional labor, future problem identification, social preparation, and personality management we've discussed all require enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy. It's like running multiple sophisticated programs in the background of your brain all day long. Many INFJs report feeling completely drained by the end of the workday, even when their actual job tasks weren't particularly demanding. They've been unconsciously doing the work of being a human resources department, strategic planning consultant, and conflict mediator while also trying to accomplish their official responsibilities. The constant awareness of office dynamics and other people's emotions can be overwhelming. Imagine trying to focus on a spreadsheet while simultaneously being aware that your colleague is stressed about her sick child, your boss is frustrated with upper management, and the new hire is feeling excluded from the team. How INFJs can thrive at work. Despite these challenges, INFJs can absolutely thrive in the workplace when they understand and leverage their unique strengths. The key is recognizing that their unusual behaviors aren't flaws to be corrected, they're superpowers to be managed strategically. The mental mapping ability makes INFJs incredible at roles requiring stakeholder management, change management, or any position where understanding complex relationships is crucial. They're natural consultants, project managers, and team leaders. Their productivity rituals, weird as they might look, often produce higher quality work than traditional grinding approaches. The key is finding ways to honor these natural rhythms while meeting workplace expectations. The counselor role, while draining, also makes INFJs invaluable team members. Companies are increasingly recognizing the importance of emotional intelligence and employee well-being, and INFJs are naturally equipped to contribute in these areas. Their ability to spot future problems makes them excellent at risk management, strategic planning, and quality assurance. Smart managers learn to take INFJ concerns seriously even when they can't immediately explain their reasoning. Working with INFJs. If you work with INFJs, understanding these unusual behaviors can dramatically improve your working relationship. That colleague who seems to be procrastinating might actually be in deep processing mode. The person who always brings up potential problems isn't being negative, they're trying to help you avoid future headaches. INFJs often do their best work when given some autonomy over how and when they complete tasks. They need time to think, space to process, and permission to work in ways that might look unconventional. They also benefit from clear expectations about emotional boundaries. If you appreciate their counseling abilities, make sure it's not becoming an unofficial, unpaid second job that's burning them out. The INFJ advantage. Here's what's really amazing about all these unusual INFJ workplace behaviors. When properly channeled, they create incredible value for organizations. INFJs bring emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, problem prevention, and relationship management skills that are increasingly valuable in today's complex business environment. Their unusual approaches often lead to innovative solutions, stronger team dynamics, and better long-term outcomes. The catch is that their contributions aren't always immediately visible or easily measured, which can make it hard for them to get recognition for their unique value. Companies that learn to recognize and leverage INFJ strengths often find they have a secret weapon for navigating complex challenges, building strong teams, and creating positive workplace cultures. Managing INFJ energy at work. One of the biggest challenges INFJs face is energy management. All those unusual behaviors we've discussed, the mental mapping, emotional labor, social preparation, they all require significant energy investment. Successful INFJs learn to manage their energy strategically. They might batch their social interactions, schedule thinking time, or create rituals for transitioning between different work modes. Many find that they need more recovery time than their colleagues, not because they're lazy or weak, but but because they're processing more information and managing more complex internal systems. The key is building awareness of their own energy patterns and finding ways to work with them rather than against them. The future of INFJs in the workplace. As workplaces evolve to recognize the importance of emotional intelligence, relationship management, and strategic thinking, INFJ skills are becoming more valuable than ever. Remote work, in particular, has created opportunities for INFJs to work in ways that honor their natural rhythms and energy management needs. The unusual behaviors we've discussed aren't bugs in the INFJ system. They're features that, when properly understood and managed, can create tremendous value for both individuals and organizations. Conclusion. So there you have it, 6 unusual things that all INFJs do at work. From creating elaborate mental maps of office politics to maintaining multiple work personalities, these behaviors might seem weird from the outside, but they're actually sophisticated strategies for navigating complex workplace environments. If you're an INFJ, I hope this helps you understand that your unusual work habits aren't something to be ashamed of. They're unique strengths that can be incredibly valuable when properly leveraged. The key is finding ways to honor your natural approaches while meeting workplace expectations and managing your energy effectively. If you work with INFJs, now you know why that colleague does such seemingly strange things. That person who appears to be procrastinating might actually be doing their most important thinking. The one who always predicts problems isn't being negative, they're trying to help everyone succeed. And if you're just curious about personality types, this gives you a glimpse into how different people can approach the same workplace in radically different ways. There's no one right way to be productive, successful, or valuable at work. The workplace needs all kinds of minds, and INFJs bring a unique perspective that, while unusual, creates real value when properly understood and supported. Their ability to see patterns others miss, understand complex relationships, and think strategically about human dynamics makes them invaluable team members, even if their methods sometimes look a little weird from the outside. What unusual workplace behaviors have you noticed in yourself or your colleagues? Have you seen any of these INFJ traits in action? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into personality types and workplace dynamics. Remember, different doesn't mean wrong, it just means there are more ways to succeed than most people realize. And sometimes the most unusual approaches lead to the most extraordinary results. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.